You got through kindergarten, huh? No, that must have been tough. Huh? I remember when I was in kindergarten, the old building. And, we had a teacher who.
Dennis is on his way over. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Thanks, everyone. You can get started whenever you're ready, Dennis.
We don't need masks anymore, do
Depends on who you're asking.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 25th agenda for the Ulster County Transportation Council. We'll go around. Do we have to do introductions or not? Should we anybody want to do introductions?
Why don't David?
Dave, why don't you just read off who's here? Thank you.
You could do that. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we have Fred Pizzuto, Ed Pine, Amy McKenzie, Chris Kate, Ellie Garstein, Herb Litz, John Schulteis, Lizzie Phillip, Martin Hall, Neil Betez, Sandra Jobson, Scott Levine, Shelley Johnston, Vernon Benjamin, so a couple people joining in right now, which just shifts the whole list. Harriet Lewis, Alex, who I'm assuming Alex Wade, but I'm unsure. And we have a number dialing in ending with 399. I'm not sure who that is.
Jean Walsh.
Jean Walsh, thanks. Did I miss anybody on the list as I was going through?
I just signed in, Ed Pine, Ulster County.
Great, thanks, Ed.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, everyone, for joining. I hope you're enjoying the great weather we're having, but we do need some rain, as they say. So a call for citizens' comments. Are there any citizens' comments? Hearing none. Approval of the January 26, 2021 Technical Committee meeting summary. Can I have a motion for discussion purposes, please?
Ed Pine, I'll make the motion.
Do we have a
Pizzuto second.
Thank you, Fred. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried. Thank you. Communications and announcements, Brian?
No announcements at this time. I do have one communication that I think we can share right now, and that's regarding the proposed changes to the urbanized area boundary methodology that are being proposed by the U.S. Census Bureau at this time. The comment period closed midweek last week, and as I presented at the previous UCTC Policy Committee meeting, the proposed changes, if enacted as proposed, would have very significant impacts to the Ulster County urbanized areas. And as such, we decided to draft a comment indicating our dissatisfaction with the proposal as it's presently written. The comment is posted on the page right now. I can also post it on the UCTC website if you're really interested in reading it word for word. It's
Send
pretty
it out.
dense. Yeah,
We'll send it to all the members.
I'm happy to do that. We also CC'd our congressional and Senate representatives, as well as obviously the Ulster County executive. So we'll wait and see at this point, and see what sort of changes are made. I believe the final rule, if I recall the schedule correctly, will come out this fall, and we'll see where we go from there. Or maybe it may be even later than that.
These changes won't go into effect until they release the urbanized area maps, probably in 2022 or 2023. They've usually released them about 3 years after the census is done. So they won't go into effect in that particular time. But the impact is significant on not only just federal funding for transit purposes, for transportation purposes, but also federal funding for community development, block grant funds, et cetera. The city gets an allocation right now of CDBG money. If the city were to slip below an urbanized area, that allocation would, I shouldn't say would, it may disappear. And there are other allocations that are also impacted by the change from an urban community with a city center of more than 50,000 to a non-urban community. Now, most specifically, one of those changes has to do with transit. The city of Kingston, because it's an urbanized area, currently gets about $1.1 to $1.2 million on an annual basis in federal transit funds. They would be relegated to a rural allocation, which is statewide, and we currently get right now somewhere in the neighborhood of about $300,000 to $400,000 on a biannual basis in rural funds. Now that number should go up because of the addition of the city's population, but it won't make up for the difference. It's a significant loss, and that's why we made the comment. There are things that can be done in terms of the authorization in the appropriations bill, and other ways to address that. And we provided some of those comments back to the county executive's office as well. Any questions on that? Brian, do you have any more communications?
No.
I have one more. And most of your towns should have received communications from either Congressman Delgado's office or one of the other congressmen that represent Ulster County, or Senator Schumer office. It has to do with earmarks, congressional earmarks, or member items.
Right.
They're now back in fashion, apparently. So we submitted, under the Transportation Appropriation Bill, we submitted 4 projects. And Brian, if you want to just highlight those.
Sure. There are 2 submitted directly by our office, the UCTC. One was for additional funds for County Route 7 and 8 shoulder widening. That's the shoulder widening project that is going into right-of-way acquisition right now in the town of New Paltz and the town of Gardner.
Route 299. So,
Yeah. And there is a shortfall in funding on that project. Therefore, we requested to make the project whole and fill the shortfall of $4.5 million. The other request was for funds for the construction of the proposed UND rail trail in Big Indian to High Mount. That has a price tag of over $10 million. One of those was accepted, and that was the Route 299 Shoulders project for the first round of consideration. As far as we know, there may be several additional rounds if these member items are actually carried forward and funded. And that's a big if at this point. The other 2 were UCAT projects. They were submitted by UCAT. One was for, I believe, the construction of a new storage facility, and the other was for bus electrification, infrastructure, and rolling stock. I apologize, I don't have the specific details of those two requests. And they were accepted as well for the first round.
So we have at least three projects that from Ulster County that were accepted into the first round of consideration.
I do know that Tilson Avenue was submitted by the town of Lloyd for additional funding, and I believe that was accepted through the first round as well.
Roger, how are you? Yes. Good.
Okay. The other thing, who's ever talking, if you could please mute yourself or take the conversation offline. The other thing that was mentioned, I wanted to mention, was that these earmarks extend now just beyond the transportation system into water, sewer, housing, planning work, et cetera. So there's an enormous amount of opportunity to have a discussion about community needs and do it through the earmark process. The Public Works Committee of the county legislature has asked UCTC to reach out to its members to see what their infrastructure needs are. We've prepared a survey tool, and that's going out to members very shortly. It should go out very shortly. I would ask all the members to not just think of these as transportation needs, but also water and sewer needs, other types of infrastructure, probably not of general government needs, like not that I need another office building or something of that nature, but community centers, daycare centers, water lines, sewer lines, et cetera. And we're going to ask you to limit those to sort of say your top, what is it, top 5, Dave?
Top 5, yes.
And we're going to provide that list back to the Public Works Committee and the county, because not only are we making decisions with respect to federal and state monies that may become available, but the county and local governments have their own set of fundings that are coming through with the American Recovery Act. And so we want to make sure that we have a good understanding of what the community needs are when the legislature takes up the question with regard to the American Recovery Act. And I'm told that there should be some upcoming public meetings to discuss this. We wanted to get these projects in front of the legislature as soon as possible. And also think about, as you do these projects, think about where you can actually reach out to your federal and state representatives and ask them to include them as part of the earmark for the HUD bill and others. Senator Schumer's office put out a really good guidance document with respect to the federal funding opportunities that are out there under the American Recovery Act and under the general appropriation process that the feds are going to go through with the new budget coming up. Any questions on that? Herb, do you want to say something, Herb?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Any communications, any other communications or announcements from council members? Okay. New business. A, draft UCTC resolution 20-21-05. It's the amendment to the UCTC federal fiscal year 2020-2024 transportation improvement program to add a new New York State DOT project, and that PIN number is 817751, as shown in attachment 1. Can I have a motion for discussion purposes, please?
So moved, Neil Batez.
Thank you, Neil. Do I have a second?
Ed Pine.
Thank you, Mr. Pine. Brian, discussion?
Sure. This is a new project that is being added to the TIP proposed by New York State DOT, and it is for repaving routes 209, 199, and 32 in the town of Ulster County, obviously. The work type is a mill and fill with a 2-inch depth, and the project limits on US 209 and 199 are from the Catskill Mountain Railroad crossing on 299 to Route 32, to the Route 32 exit on 199. It also will include a small portion of Route 32, essentially from exit ramp to exit entrance ramp on Route 32 under the 199 overpass. The total project cost is just over $11 million. I know New York State DOT is on the line this morning. Sandra, would you like to add anything in addition to this project?
Thanks, Brian. No, you did a great job covering the project. Every year, I think I mentioned this last year when we added a similar project to the TIP mid-year, is we have a real focus on preventative maintenance with our bridges and our pavement. And this is one of those candidate locations. And that's it.
Thank you. Because this is an addition to the TIP as a new project, it does require tech committee approval along with 15-day public notice and comment period, and then final policy committee approval in June.
So to move this forward to a 15-day public comment period, do I have any opposed? Hearing none, any abstentions? So carried.
That's it.
Other old business, Brian?
Yeah, I have a few items at the top here. TAP and CMAQ, as well as the FTA 5310 solicitations. This is something that the directors of the MPOs during our statewide meetings have been raising recently. We're coming from the Albany Bureau of NISDOT. They have no announcements yet for TAP or CMAQ solicitations, but we might be able to anticipate something during this calendar year, so please be aware of that. But as of right now, there are no announcements that I'm aware of. Also, the 3 to 5 year TIP-STIP update process, I think as most members are aware, the TIP needs to be updated at a minimum every 3 years. And we're coming up on that update schedule very shortly. So we're also awaiting further notice or guidance from New York State DOT if and when that we get the call that we'll be updating the TIP and the STIP. This happens statewide. It's not just our MPO. All MPOs are involved in that process. We will notify our members and form a TIP subcommittee to help us review if there are allocations or funding, federal funds provided to UCTC above and beyond our immediate needs, and we can consider doing a call for new projects. But it's been some time since we've done a full call for new projects in that regard for our TIP. So please be aware that that might be coming this year as well. I already mentioned the U.S. Census 2020 urbanized area adjustments and our response letter. We'll send you a copy. Upcoming meetings, I have no upcoming meeting announcements. We already did the infrastructure notice and requests. Should we mention something about the Unified Planning Work Program and amendments?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
We have been aware for some time of shortcomings, shall we say, in the UCTC webpage. We have been having a difficult time doing the types of updates to this page and making it, improving the functionality of the page to our liking. It's been a difficult process in trying to make it just more functional. We feel it really deserves to be a little more functional. But we've been waiting for essentially guidance from Ulster County. And the Information Services Department has indicated that they will be doing an update of county websites, but we've been in a holding pattern essentially. So rather than wait for Information Services, we're seriously considering embarking on our own update process and essentially departing from the county structure and utilizing a full new website update.
Yeah, the other thing is that the page has some problems with respect to meeting ADA requirements as well. So it's not only cumbersome and clunky and not easy to find things on. You actually almost have to be aware of the entire actions of the UCTC in order to find anything on it. It also presents data that's not ADA compliant in some instances. That's the first piece of that. The second piece of that is that we intend to move away from our how we present reports to the public. We intend to move away from presenting reports to the public in a PDF format and move into a way that we can actually put the reports online digitally and walk you through the report so that you can go down in much more detailed sections. If you have an interest, you can go down in much more detail in particular sections versus essentially having to read an entire report to find that piece of the report that you're very much interested in. A and B is by doing a digital report, it's much more updatable. So as data changes, you can update the pieces of the data within the report. So it doesn't have a defined date on it. The data can change within the report itself. And if you want to get a good sense of what this is, there's Dutchess County is currently in the process of doing its update for its long range transportation plan in a digital format, and that'll give you a good sense of where you can go with this type of arrangement. And we want to set the website up so that it can accept more of those types of reports as we do them. And then we can link into other issues that are transportation related, but not the sole function of a transportation council, like local comprehensive plans, housing issues, demographic changes, and other types of data that we put out that can be put out there. Any questions on that? Okay, Brian, I'm sorry.
So right now, the current 2021 state fiscal year UPWP does not have any funding for a website update. So we are considering amending the UPWP to add several $1,000s. We don't have a budget in mind at this point in time.
We would issue an RFP, I think, right?
Right, and then we could amend the UPWP. So we're just notifying members now. The amendment process for our UPWP is not as formal as the TIP amendment process, but there may be a resolution necessary if and when we get to that point. So please be aware.
So the other piece of that is we issued an RFP for resiliency, and we had in our current our current UPWP about $100,000 for that effort. And the resiliency study was countywide, and it was focused on local and county facilities. And we have interviewed three consultants and looked at their qualifications. Unfortunately, I think the #1 consultant that was chosen by the committee is about double the price that we currently budgeted. We've gone back to that consultant and tried to see where we went wrong with respect to our estimate of what it would be. And I would say that there were consultants that were in line with our budget. And so we have asked them for a final and best offer. And we're not sure what we're going to get yet. But we may end up having to amend the UPWP and or reissue the RFP. Or look to see where we can essentially split it into 2 years worth of work versus a single year's worth of work across 2 funding rounds. Any questions about that? Okay, that's just for information purposes now, but we may have to come back to you after we have additional discussions.
Great, thank you. I do want to also mention that we do have the 2-year member turnover quickly approaching. I mentioned this during the last policy committee meeting. In taking a look at our operating procedures as well as our current membership, the turnover date is actually listed as June 4th of every year. I believe that was the year that the UCTC was finally brought into existence, and therefore that's the date of the 2-year turnover. So if you'll note on the right, near the top Thanks, Dave. This is the new membership. So Village of Saugerties, Town of Rosendale, Town of Lloyd, Town of Plattekill, Village of Ellenville, Town of New Paltz, and Town of Woodstock. Your tenure has come to an end, and we'll now flip over to the Town of Hurley, Esopus, Marlborough, Shawangum, Village of New Paltz, Town of Wawarsing, Town of Kingston. So I'll be sending out letters of notification regarding the previous voting proxies that were listed, and we'll be asking the new members to update their voting members as needed. But during the next meeting of the UCTC, which is scheduled for June 22nd, our new members will be asked to attend and to participate in that meeting.
So,
That's it.
so for members that want to continue to attend, I would strongly urge you to reach out to a sister town or a sister community and be asked if you could serve as a proxy in case those folks don't attend. So I know we have attendance from Lloyd all the time. I would certainly like to have that continue. New Paltz as well. I'd like that to continue as well. And so I think from my perspective is that if those communities that are normally in attendance would like to continue to attend, we would need a proxy letter from a sister town that you could attend. And I would urge you to get those proxy letters, even as an alternate, in case someone from those communities don't show up. I really don't want to find myself in a situation where I can't get a quorum for a policy meeting when I have individuals that are interested and want to attend. So thank you. Any questions on that? And if anybody needs a copy of what a proxy letter would look at, we'll send a proxy letter out as a template with you when we send out the other material that Brian has talked about, the comments on the census.
That's right. Other than that, no significant project updates at this time. The UCTC Long Range Transportation Plan final report is up on our website. Please take a look at it. And we're looking at printing options for that. We want to get a desk copy, reference copy to every municipality printed so that you have that within at arm's reach as a resource. Other project updates. Dave, do you have any updates on the crash analysis?
We've sent some of the proposed treatments for the top 10 locations out to the members of the TAC, and we will be further distributing that to stakeholder members as that project moves forward. We're hoping to get that wrapped up shortly.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Well, you have one other thing, and that is the town of Ulster has asked us to assist in one of their TIP projects on Boyce's Lane. So we've been working with the town to get an expressions of interest letter out and to make sure that they follow the federal procedures for getting a consultant on board. Any of the council members have updates they want to talk about?
Do you want to mention open meetings law and pending changes?
Thank you. So we know that the governor's extension of the ability to essentially not have to meet in an open meeting, I think expires June 9th. It's the early part of June, and it should expire before our next policy meeting. We don't know if it's extended, it will be extended or not. If it's not extended, we will have to meet in person, and we'll try to meet out at the town of Marbletown's town hall if that's the case. So just keep an eye on that. We may have to have an in-person meeting coming up soon. And just so you know, you won't know. Generally, he extends those dates usually 1 or 2 days before they expire. So we won't be able to give you a lot of notice before it expires, except there should be notice enough for the meeting itself.
Dennis, you're going to make up name tags, right?
Yeah, we'll make up name tags. Anything else? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Somebody. Vernon, thank you. Everybody enjoy the weather. We'll see you in June.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Stay healthy.